At 82, I've gained plenty of wisdom about life, yet one choice haunts me deeply: deciding to move into a nursing home. Back then, it felt like the sensible option. My family urged me to do it, assuring me I'd be surrounded by care and comfort. I trusted their words, but once I settled in, the reality hit me hard. It was nothing like the picture they painted. I know some of you are weighing this path, either for yourself or someone dear, perhaps thinking it's the safest route or that it'll simplify things. But before you make that leap, let me share 6 lessons I wish I'd known beforehand, because living in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It reshapes your entire world, and leaving once you're in is far trickier than you'd expect. Stick with me, as a few of these insights might catch you off guard, and if someone you know is considering this step, these words could be the guidance they need before making such a pivotal choice. Let's dive in. The real jolt after moving in wasn't the cramped room, the rigid meal times, or even the sea of unfamiliar faces. It was the stark realization that I no longer held the reins of my own life. Before, I had my own rhythm. I chose when to rise, what to eat, and how to fill my days. I could stroll outside on a whim, whip up a meal, or sink into my favorite armchair with a good book. But in the nursing home, I quickly learned my time wasn't mine anymore. Everything revolved around a schedule I didn't set. Breakfast came at a fixed hour, whether my stomach was ready or not. Bedtime was dictated. Even if I wasn't sleepy, a walk outside? That often required permission and waiting for someone to tag along. Everyday choices, like picking my meal or outfit, started feeling like rare treats rather than basic rights. I'll never forget my first week, waking up in an unfamiliar bed. I stretched, instinctively reaching for the novel I'd been reading at home, only to glance around and feel the weight of it. This wasn't my space. My books, my cozy chair, the small treasures I'd gathered over decades, they were gone. Instead, I faced bare walls, a bed I didn't pick, and an unshakable sense that I was no longer the one calling the shots. The toughest part? Realizing that once you surrender your freedom, clawing it back is nearly impossible. You adapt because you must. You stop pushing back when they dictate dinner, quit asking for spontaneous walks, and mold yourself to their system. But in doing so, you start losing pieces of who you are. If a nursing home is on your radar, pause and ask, are you ready to let go of the little liberties that define your life? Because once they're gone, you'll ache for them more than you ever imagined. One of the toughest realizations about nursing home life is noticing how the outside world keeps moving while you adjust to a new routine. When I first arrived, my family promised frequent visits, and I believed them. Early on, they kept their word. My daughter stopped by weekly, my grandkids popped in on weekends, and for a brief moment, it felt like I was still tethered to my old life. But as months passed, those visits dwindled. My daughter swapped in-person chats for phone calls. My grandkids got swept up in school and jobs. Holidays were challenging, family promised to visit, but last-minute changes meant I spent time in the lounge, noticing others also waiting for loved ones to drop by. It's not that my family stopped caring, life just pulled them away. When you're not part of their daily world, it's easy for folks to assume you're fine, that you're settling in, that you don't crave their presence as much. But the longer you're tucked away in a nursing home, the easier it becomes for others to overlook how deeply you still need them. One evening in my room, I held my phone, debating whether to call my son, wanting to connect without seeming like I was asking too much. I hesitated to dial my son, not wanting to nudge him about a visit that might not happen, so I set the phone aside. That's when it sank in. This was my new reality, days slipping by as I waited, hoping someone would think to include me. If a nursing home is on your mind, pause and consider. Are you ready for the solitude? Even with a family that cares deeply, once you're tucked away, it's surprisingly easy to fade from their thoughts. If you're finding these reflections helpful, drop a 2 in the comments to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay in the loop for more. Let's keep going. When I settled into the nursing home, I thought I was just switching my address, not my entire reason for living. Back home, I had tasks that gave my day structure, hobbies, routines, a purpose to greet each morning. Simple acts like watering my plants, brewing my coffee, or straightening up my space gave me a sense of meaning. But in the nursing home, those daily touchstones vanished. Someone else prepared my meals, cleaned my room, and tended to any plants, which weren't even mine anymore. At first, I thought it'd be a relief, no more chores, no more obligations, just a chance to kick back. But weeks in, I felt a void. The days dragged, empty, with nothing to do but wait for the next scheduled moment. I noticed it in others, too. Residents who once brimmed with vitality now sat quietly, gazing into space, letting time slip by. There was Harold, 85, a carpenter who'd spent his life crafting and fixing things in his garage. Here, with no tools or projects, his spark dimmed. His hands, once nimble and purposeful, rested idly. "I miss having something to do," he shared one day, and his words really resonated with me. When you lose something to nurture or strive for, life's vibrancy fades. Your mind slows, your body lags behind, and soon you're just another face in a place where time creeps forward, but nothing truly shifts. If a nursing home is in your plans, ask, what fuels your sense of purpose? Because once you're there, keeping that spark alive is tougher than just filling your hours. It's a battle to hold on to what makes you feel truly alive. Before moving in, I was managing well for my age. No, I wasn't jogging miles, but I could handle my own needs, cooking, walking, keeping up my little routines like morning stretches, grocery runs, or pacing my house to stay strong. But the nursing home changed all that. At first, it felt like a break, meals delivered, no need to stand over a stove, help just a button away. But I didn't see it coming. The less I did for myself, the more my strength slipped away. I cut back on moving around, and soon my legs grew stiffer, less steady. I spent more time sitting than I ever had, and before long, just standing up from a chair felt like a task. The strength I'd built over years faded faster than I could have imagined. It wasn't just me, either. I saw it in others. Folks who arrived walking confidently soon leaned on wheelchairs. People who once managed on their own suddenly needed help with things they'd always handled. The more assistance we got, the more we seemed to depend on it. I think of Margaret, my neighbor, 81 and full of life when she got here. She'd stride around the facility daily, determined not to let age slow her down. But a few months later, her walks grew shorter. Then came the walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and sighed. "I'm not sure how it happened, but I've noticed I feel less energetic in just a short time." That hit home. It's exactly how it felt. When you stop moving your body, you start losing it. In a nursing home, where everything's set up for ease, it's easy to overlook that movement isn't just about getting by, it's about staying alive. If I'd realized how fast my strength would slip, I'd have pushed harder to stay active, to keep going even on tough days. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, can you stay driven to keep your body strong when life's made too easy? Because once you slow down, bouncing back is harder than you'd expect. If these insights are resonating, drop a 4 in the comments to show you're with me. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and the bell to catch all our videos. Your support keeps us sharing content to inform and uplift. Let's move on. One thing I didn't fully grasp before moving here was how much privacy I'd give up. At home, I had my own space, my door shut when I wanted quiet, and I did things my way. But in a nursing home, privacy feels like a rare treat. From day one, I felt eyes on me, staff popping in and out, routine room checks, shared spaces where solitude's hard to find. Even basic tasks like dressing or using the bathroom often meant needing help. I get it, they're just doing their jobs, but it's tough to rely on others for things you've done alone your whole life. That first week, I grappled with having to ask permission for things I once did without a thought. Need a shower? You might wait for an aide schedule. Head to the restroom? Sometimes the call button means a longer wait than you'd hope. Even meals were rigid if you didn't like the day's menu. Tough luck. Then there's the roommate situation. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing space with a stranger you didn't pick can wear on you. I was fortunate to have a considerate roommate, but others weren't so lucky. Some dealt with roommates who were noisy, messy, or struggled with cognitive issues that made restful sleep a distant dream. No matter how hard you try to make your room feel like home, it never truly belongs to you. Adjusting to less personal control is challenging, and I didn't realize how much I'd have to adapt until I was there. When staff knock but sometimes barge in without waiting, when they address you more like a case than a person, when your daily rhythm hinges on a schedule you didn't design, it shifts who you are. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another entry on a roster. If a nursing home is on your horizon, ask, are you ready to surrender the privacy and control you've always known? Because once they're gone, reclaiming them is no small feat. When I first arrived, I told myself it was just a trial run. I figured I'd test it out, and if it didn't suit me, I'd head back home. But I soon learned leaving wasn't so simple. My house stood empty, and managing it from afar became a hassle. My kids had already started clearing out items they thought I wouldn't miss, even floating the idea of renting out my place. When I mentioned going back, they wavered. Can you really handle living alone? Isn't it safer to stay? We just want what's best. Then there was my physical decline. After months of not cooking, cleaning, or walking much, my strength waned. The independence I once took for granted slipped away, making the thought of returning home feel daunting. I lost confidence in living solo, and that fear kept me rooted. I met others with similar stories. They moved in thinking it was temporary, only to find escape wasn't easy. The longer you stay, the tougher it is to readjust to the outside world. Some lost the chance entirely when their homes were sold or their savings drained by care costs. Few people mention that moving in might feel like a trial, but leaving can be more complicated than expected. The nursing home becomes your universe, and the life you once knew fades into a hazy memory. If you're in a nursing home, ask, are you ready for the chance that leaving might be harder than you think? The barriers, financial, physical, emotional, can be tougher to clear than you expect. If these thoughts are hitting home, drop a 6 in the comments to let me know you're here. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the bell to catch all our videos. Your support fuels more content to enlighten and motivate. Reflecting back, I don't regret aging, but I do wish I hadn't assumed a nursing home was my only path. I walked in expecting ease, security, and a better life. Instead, I found a place that chipped away at my independence, privacy, purpose, and even my sense of self. Are all nursing homes bad? Not always. Some folks genuinely need that level of care. But before you decide, weigh what you're giving up, because life changes profoundly once you're in. If I could rewind, I'd have fought harder to stay home, sought out ways to get support while keeping my freedom, and ensured I truly needed such a drastic step. If you're facing this choice, pause and ask, is this really what's best for me, or just what seems simplest now? The life you have, your routines, your autonomy, your choices, is worth clinging to as long as possible. Thanks for sticking with me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment with one takeaway from this and how you will apply it. Your input matters to us and keeps us going. If this resonated, give it a like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep creating content to inform and inspire. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.